I'm Michelle Meow, and I am a member of the Board of Governors and also a producer of the Michelle Meow Show here at the club. Thank you so much for being here tonight for this special presentation commemorating the 50-year anniversary of the Vietnam War and also the Cambodian genocide. I think we are making history tonight. I don't think this has ever been done. Not the fact that, it's the 50th year anniversary, but the fact that we are bringing all of our communities together from the Southeast Asian community. We had a Basi ceremony. That's never been done. And by the way, my mother, as a Lao refugee, would be crying and in tears. Like, this doesn't happen outside of the Lao community temple. Spaces like the Commonwealth Club, a 120-year plus institution, an iconic institution in a world-class city like San Francisco, she would say, we don't belong here. It's too, it translated in Lao, it should be like too rich for my blood. But no, Mom, we belong. And these are our stories, and it's our stories to tell, and we're going to tell it tonight. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started with our wonderful program. We are going live, we're live streaming, we're taping this for broadcast, so it's a big deal. Keep your phones off if you can. Thank you to our online audience who are here with us. Unfortunately, we won't have time to take your questions, but cheer us on and enjoy the program as you sit back, relax in your home. For the rest of you who are here in location at this iconic institution, you're in for a treat. There are performances, there's a beautiful reception because it's a beautiful day in San Francisco. So stay tuned for that. We're so excited for all the good stuff to come. So I'm gonna get off stage because I'm gonna go get ready for my part. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the Director of Programs for the Southeast Asian Development Center, Rata.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Rata, and on behalf of the Southeast Asian Development Center, and in partnership with the Commonwealth Club World Affairs San Francisco, I want to warmly welcome you and thank you for being here tonight. My heart is so full. It's words cannot explain. And it is truly an honor to share this important moment with all of you, a historic gathering commemorating 50 years since the Vietnam War and the Cambodian genocide. Tonight is not only a remembrance of history, but a celebration of resilience, culture, and healing. This event, the first of its kind in San Francisco and the Bay Area, is long overdue. It recognizes the survival, strength, and stories of our Southeast Asian communities, those from Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, whose journey of resettlement, rebuilding, and contribution to this region deserves to be honored. First of all, I'd like to thank those who made it in time to join us for the traditional Lao Basi ceremony led by Na Bun Lieng. Thank you to the Lao Siri Association, as well as to the Center for Lao Studies. Again, that was truly beautiful, and there's more. So throughout the evening, we will hear from powerful voices and experiences and moving cultural performances. So before we do continue, I would like to ask everyone to please join me in a moment of silence to honor and remember those that we have lost. Let us take this time to reflect and hold them in our thoughts as we gather in unity today. Thank you. Now, without further ado, it is my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Kataria scholar, educator, and community advocate, whose work has shaped the fields of Southeast Asian and critical refugee studies. Dr. is the Associate Dean of Social Sciences and Associate Professor in the Department of Ethnic Studies at UC Berkeley. She co-founded the Critical Refugee Studies Collective and is a leading voice on war, genocide, forced migration, and politics of memory. As a Cambodian refugee and the first Cambodian American woman to earn a PhD, Dr. brings both personal and scholarly insight to her work. Her contributions span refugee education policy, intergenerational curriculum development, and grassroots advocacy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kataria
Good evening, and thank you, Rata, for that very kind introduction. I also would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Southeast Asian Development Center and the organizing committee for the honor of speaking here today. When I think back to that fateful April in 1975, I'm always reminded of how our lives as Southeast Asian refugees are filled with dualities, ambivalence, and contradictions. How the joys and the promises of a new year, at least for the Khmer and the Lao, the year of the rabbit at that time, were cut prematurely short by violent uprooting, separation, loss, and for the Cambodians, a spiraling descent into one of the nation's darkest eras. 5 decades later, that spring remains an indelible historical reference for us, Cambodians, Vietnamese, and Laotians. April ceases to be simply a month on the calendar, and 1975, not just a year in history. It was when history stops, when our world and life, as we knew it, changed forever for many of us. 50 years is a lifetime. But for many of us refugees, what we have lived through seems like 2 lifetimes, the life before the catastrophe and the one after. Of the life before, there are few, if any, remnants. For some of us, not even a photograph to remind us that we once had a childhood, that we had dreams, that we were enveloped in life, laughter, and a sense not just of belonging, but rootedness and a future. It is as if we never existed. And if the past flashes in unexpected moments, it feels, at least to me, at times like it belongs to someone else. Over the last 50 years, the struggle to mourn, memorialize, and heal has had to compete with and invariably yield to the struggle to survive. Grieving, for many of us, comes as stolen moments. I reference this history not to gratuitously indulge in historical pain, but to honor us, refugees, and those of refugee families, and to pay homage to those who had walked before us and alongside us. For our moment of arrival that we're witnessing here today in this room, as Michelle had mentioned, this room is that much more glorious because of the distance that we have walked. The wounds and the scars are not signs of victimhood. They are our badge of courage. And when one realizes that, victims become warriors. Many of our Southeast Asian languages do not have pluralization or tenses. And it still drives my husband crazy when I still forget, after all these years, where all the S's belong. We don't change words. We don't conjugate. We draw meanings from context. And this history, with all its pain and triumphant moments, is our context. It is with us when we sit down to share a meal, when we pray, when we pay homage to those who are no longer with us, when we laugh, and when we cry. This history informs who we are as Southeast Asians. It also binds us, peoples from 3 different countries with different heritages and histories. But this history does not define who we are, because who we are is so much more than the history of the last 50 years. We are more than a war, more than the killing fields, more than refugees. We are all that and more. Historical traumas such as genocide do not simply engender losses. They wound the soul. But the grief and the loss that are sources of our pain are also the wellspring of our fortitude and our determination to rise in the face of adversity. Dark times may have occluded the light, but that does not mean that we did not shine. we have always shown. All that we have today that define us as Southeast Asian Americans were reassembled and recasted over the last 50 years. The mutual aid organizations, some established in the wake of refugee arrivals by students not much older than my undergraduates, who sought comfort for their own losses by helping others. The temples, the heritage programs, all that we had to build from scratch with little resources except for our own resourcefulness. A rundown studio became a place of worship. Self-taught refugee artists crafted traditional violins from Kmart baseball bats and etched temple carvings on cardboards fished out of local dumpsters. Not because they wanted to showcase their artistry, but because art and music are so essential to our social and spiritual life, and because they wanted the children to remember. Like our refugee bodies, memories of home and heritage have had to seek refuge in unfamiliar places, and yet they bloom. Home, transplanted onto urban America, lives on in the storefronts with names such as Saigon, Vientiane, Pailin. It's in the long-tailed dragon boats that skim the Merrimack River as they had done for centuries on the Mekong. It is in the dance and the music the Southeast Asian refugees painstakingly retrieved from memory in the garages and in the courtyards of the tenement housing. It is in the potted lemongrass and basils on apartment balconies that signal our presence in America's neighborhoods. What was indeed reassembled was in fact home, history, and memory. And it was compelled by the sheer determination to remember and transmit, because our elders, many of whom are sitting here in this room, knew that what is encoded in our songs and dances, stitched into our ceremonial cloths, and or infused in the dishes that we shunned as children, seeking belonging, only to crave them in our later years. All that is not just art and sustenance, it is the essence of who we are as a people. And in their refusal to forget, they refuse to be erased. I recently read a poem that was anonymously written on the wall of an orphanage about the tenacity of the human spirit. And it made me think of the past 50 years and how first-generation refugees toiled to clear the path that brought us today, fixing their gaze not on their, but on our future, all while mourning the unspeakable losses that they carry with them into exile. Many of their names have been erased from our community memory by the passing of the generations, their contributions perhaps lost to time. And I thought of how their sacrifices may never be known or acknowledged, but they sacrificed anyway. What they built must have seemed at times almost impossible, but they built anyway. What they hoped for may have often seemed unreachable, but they hoped anyway. They gave the very best with the little that they had, and they had little. But as you can see in this room today, what they had was enough. Above all, they hung on to their dignity, their compassion, and in doing so, they resisted and won against the very force that seek to rob them of their humanity. The lives they led were heroic, made even more so because they led without the expectation or any expectation of personal rewards or acknowledgement, let alone gratitude. They did it not for their own glory, but for ours, for their children and their children, so that the seeds of hope planted decades ago could eventually, and as we witness here today, finally sprout and bloom. They live for others because doing so meant that they could live. Growing up as a refugee, I have learned to appreciate the extraordinary ability of our elders to accept things as they come without succumbing to things as they are, to face adversity without shedding the ability to hope and dream. Resilience is not always registered in grand moments or even grander accomplishments. It is also in the quotidian struggles and small victories that often go unseen and unclaimed. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, which for many of our first-generation refugees meant being able to get up in the morning and go to the multiple shifts at the factory. It is about insisting on your rights to be human, with hopes, dreams, and dignity. Those are our fundamental rights that no wars, no genocide can deny us. The freedom that all of us are entitled to as human beings is not just the freedom from fear, but the freedom to soar above fear, to give flight to our imagination, to feel joy and hopefulness, to see futurity beyond the dark horizon. We have here in this room the embodiment of multi-generational success. We have people in the arts, law, advocacy, higher education, health, public service, and corporate America. Yes, there are still far too many of us who are left gazing at the promissory dream through the barred windows of Section 8 housing, imagining a future that they can only hope at best for their children and never for themselves. And yes, far too many of us have had to squeeze our way through the glass door only to be met with the glass ceiling. And yet, we persevere. We're still here, and we shine. For many of us, it is not that adversities got less or that the struggles fewer. It's just that we got stronger, like the California oak trees that grow stronger against the wind. I come from a land where the water of the Tonle Sap changes its course and flows backward. Nothing is impossible. And if war, genocide, and exile have shown us that even the most unimaginable things can happen in our lifetime, then that also means that in the most seemingly impossible things lie new possibilities. This evening is both a commemoration of the histories that have battered and displaced us and a celebration of all of us, of how we have risen and continue to rise, and how this moment is a triumph of over history that has written us out. In the face of the loss, fracture, and rupture, I often feel we have been cheated by history. But I also feel that we have cheated history because we are still here when we were never meant to be. On borrowed time and borrowed life, perhaps, we have not only survived, but have thrived. And this I attributed to our elders who never surrendered their ability to imagine a different self, a different life, a different future. It is their gift to us. We stand in this moment of the 50th anniversary, poised in front of a yet-to-be-turned page. What will the next 5 decades bring? And where do we see ourselves in this? Sadly, our story is not an aberration. It is the story of modernity. Because as we speak, over 110 million people have been forced to flee their homes. Every minute, the time that it takes for us to draw in and exhale one long breath, somewhere on this planet that we share, more than 20 people would have been forcibly uprooted, making forced displacement one of the most pressing challenges of our time. Where 5 decades ago, the world stood in moral conflict in the face of both refugee crisis in Asia, today the world watches, yet again, in moral quandary, as images of refugees crammed into unseaworthy boats flash on our TV screens. The South China Sea, where thousands of Southeast Asian boat refugees perished decades ago, are where the Rohingyas refugees continue to search for safe harbor today. These watery graves in Asia are no different from those in the Mediterranean or elsewhere, where untold number of lives continue to perish. Nor are the inhospitable terrains that land refugees have had to brave different regardless of the continents. In the Middle East, in Asia, in Africa, on the seas and the beaches of Europe, we see Vietnam, we see Laos, and we see Cambodia. And if nothing else, the last 50 years have underscored that refugees are not just a crisis to be contained or social burdens to avoid. They are people. We are people who can contribute to building a better society and a more just and peaceful world. For refugees know better than anyone else the importance of peace and justice. for we are the living testaments to the ravages of war. In the face of global suffering, we often feel that our actions are small, insignificant. But our histories have shown that even in our ordinariness, we hold the capacity, each and every one of us, to do extraordinary things. And that seemingly impossible change is born of the ability to imagine new possibilities. So we, individually and collectively, must find the courage to imagine the world in its fullness. That was the gift bequeathed to us by those who came before us. That we owe the generations after. Thank you. Samakun.
Powerful.
Applause. So much has resonated with us and really reminds us of the beauty of the community. You really set the tone this evening, so thank you. And now, before we begin to continue our program, I'd like to invite James Saran and representative from Lao Siri to do a quick language welcome. Please come on stage. Please come on stage.
ចាជំរាបសួរជំនុំមកឲ្យមជ្ឈមណ្ឌលអភិវឌ្ឍន៍អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍ចានាងខ្ញុំសហការជាមួយនឹង Commonwealth World Club World Affair of San Francisco ចាយើងខ្ញុំសូមស្វាគមន៍ដោយភាពកក់ក្ដៅនិងសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណជាខ្លាំងដែលបានចូលរួមនៅក្នុងរាត្រីនេះជាកិត្តិយសខ្លាំងណាស់ដែលបានចែករំលែកពេលវេលាដ៏សារៈសំខាន់នេះជាមួយនឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចាក្នុងព្រឹត្តិការណ៍ប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រសម្រាប់នៃការគោរពនៃការចងចាំរវាងសង្គ្រាមចាវៀតណាមឡាវនិងការប្រល័យពូជសាសន៍នៅកម្ពុជាដែលមានរយៈពេលជាង50ឆ្នាំមកហើយរាត្រីនេះមិនត្រឹមតែជាការរំលឹកការចងចាំប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រនោះទេប៉ុន្តែវាគឺជាការប្ររពនៃការសោកស្ដាយការអត់ធ្មត់និងការបង្ហាញអំពីវប្បធម៌ផងដែរចាអរគុណ
สบายดีแขกที่มีเกียรติมาทุกท่าน Good evening ladies and gentlemen ข้าพเจ้าบุญจันทร์เทพไกรสอนเป็นสภาคณะกรรมการของ Lao Siri Association ได้ถือมาเพื่อนให้กล่าวเป็นภาษาลาวเนาะมีแขกผู้มีเกียรติที่มาร่วมอย่างนี้กันพี่น้องชาวลาวจากสมาคม Lao Siri กันหลายคนก่อนอื่นข้าพเจ้าขอเว้าต่างหน้าองค์กรพัฒนาเซาท์เอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้โดยการร่วมมือของสโมสรซานฟรานซิสโกและองค์กรภารกิจของโลกข้าพเจ้ามีความยินดีอย่างยิ่งที่ทุกท่านมาร่วมในงานสำคัญในคืนนี้เพื่อฉลองวันระลึกถึงวันครบรอบที่การสูญเสียสงครามเวียดนามได้50 ปีก่อนในการฆาตกรที่โหดเหี้ยมอยู่ในประเทศเขมรดังทุกท่านอาจสิได้รู้จักตามข่าวเนาะพวกเขามาร่วมกันในมื้อนี้เพื่อระลึกถึงวันเหตุการณ์สำคัญดังกล่าวแล้วก็เพื่อส่งเสริมชาวเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ในเหตุของประเพณีทุกๆอย่างเพื่อให้ลูกหลานเฮาใหญ่โตขึ้นมาได้รู้จักเหตุของประเพณีเฮาติดตามน้ำพ่อแม่พี่น้องข้าพเจ้าอยากเว้าสตอรี่อย่างหนึ่งให้ทานฟังข้าพเจ้าเองก็มาแนะนำอาวุโสเนาะแนะนำชายโสดผู้หนึ่งมาตั้งรักปักฐานอยู่ในซานฟรานซิสโกแล้วก็มาพบภรรยาและแต่งงานกันมีลูก3 คนแต่ลูกได้เกิดอยู่นี่เหตุของประเพณีลาวก็บ่รู้จักหยังภาษาลาวบ่ได้บ้านนี้มีหลายคนลูกหลายคนก็ถามว่าพ่อมาจังไดมาเนี่ยมาอเมริกามาแบบใดก็ได้แชร์ได้อัดวิดีโอให้ลูกฟังเพื่อลูกเราจะไปเว้าสู่หลานน่ะฟังว่าเฮามาจังไดเฮาหนีมาจากมาแนะนำอพยพนี่ มาแบบใดเพื่อเขาสิถ่ายทอดความทรงจำให้ลูกให้หลานเขาต่อไปให้ฮู้จักขีดข้องประเพณีเฮาเพื่อส่งเสริมประเพณีวัฒนธรรมของเฮาเนาะข้าพเจ้าขอจังซี่ได้ขอเชิญชวนผู้อาวุโสทั้งหลายที่ว่าเป็นผู้นำเนาะที่ว่ามีลูกมีหลานใหญ่กล้าหน้าบ้านอยู่ในนี่ให้พยายามสอนลูกสอนหลานด้วยว่าให้ฮู้จักว่าเฮามาแต่ไสแล้วก็ประเพณีเฮามีแนวใดเฮาฉลองวันปีใหม่แบบใดคือมื้อนี้นี่ก็แม่นประเพณีอันงดงามที่สุดที่ว่าได้แม่บุญเลี้ยงได้เป็นผู้หมอพรสูตรผ้าบาสีเพื่อเป็นสิริมงคลให้แก่หมดทุกทนบ่แม่นแก่ผู้ใดผู้หนึ่งหมดทุกคนโดยเฉพาะผู้ที่มีส่วนร่วมช่วยเหลือในสังคมข้าพเจ้าขอขอบใจเท่านี้เนาะขอขอบใจ Thank you very much
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Chào buổi tối mọi người. Tại mất trung tâm phát triển Đông Nam Á và The Commonwealth Club World Affairs San Francisco. Tôi xin gửi lời chào thân thương và lời cảm ơn chân thành đến tất cả mọi người đã có mặt ở đây tối nay. Tất là một vinh dự khi được chia sẻ khoan khắc quan thông này với quý vị. Một cực từ học lịch sự kỷ niệm 50 năm kể từ chiến tranh Việt Nam và cực điệt Trung Campuchia. Đêm này không chỉ là dịp để thương nhớ lịch sử mà còn là dịp để tôn vinh sức sống bền bỉ, văn hóa và sự trở lặng. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last time something was in all 3 languages was the Tenderloin Times. Any of you here remember the Tenderloin Times, the first and probably only newspaper published here in San Francisco that was in all 3 languages. So shout out to San Francisco. Now, before I introduce our special performance today, I'd like to welcome Tong Tao to the stage to say a few words. Tong is from the Office of Community Awareness, Response and Engagement, and is here on behalf of the California Department of Justice, Attorney General Rob Bonta. Welcome, Tong.
Thank you so much, Rata, and I'll keep my remarks very short. Nyajong, hello. Sabadi, Sawadi. And I will work on the combined part later on, so I'm sorry. But that's 3 languages. No, my name is Tong Tao. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm glad to be here in a room filled with so many amazing leaders. It's an honor to be able to be here on behalf of the AG, Rob Bonta, who couldn't be here today, but this is a community that's very near and dear to him. So happy to be here and happy to also present this certificate of recognition on behalf of the Office of CARE and the AG, Rob Bonta, in recognition of the Southeast Asian Development Center for your efforts to broaden awareness, inspire reflection, and celebrate the resilience of the Southeast Asian American community following 50 years since the Vietnam War. So, congratulations.
Now, next, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce you to Nekru Charya Burt, a master artist, cultural bearer, and one of the most respected figures in classical Cambodian dance today in the diaspora. An acclaimed dancer, choreographer, and teacher, she trained with Cambodia's foremost dance masters after the Khmer Rouge genocide and later performed internationally with the Royal Dance Troupe. Since immigrating to the U.S. in 1993, she has devoted herself to preserving and revitalizing classical Cambodian dance, teaching thousands across California and beyond. Her work has been featured at major venues such as the Jacob's Pillow and the San Francisco Opera House, and she is the recipient of numerous prestigious awards. Her latest work, The Rebirth of Apsara Beyond Genocide, commemorates 50 years since the Cambodian genocide through powerful dance and storytelling. Please join me in welcoming Master Charya Burt.
สูดอลองเทวดาพร้อมเตียงโดนตาหนึ่งครูบาทีสมลงเยียงมองปรองปรมเยืองกรุมคเนียบ้านสักโรมนีดอเรียงเตอWhat you are watching is called a Sampeh Kru, a ritual ceremony honoring our sacred, the relationship between the teacher and student relationship. The ceremony is done throughout the year. Before every performance, or at special occasion, or when learning a new role or a new dance piece. The master teachers and dancer recite prayers, presenting silently by offering incense, lit candles, flowers, and other offering to the spirits of dance. We give thanks for all we have been privileged to learn. We ask for guidance as we try to perfect our techniques and gain deeper understanding about our cultural heritage, so that someday we too will pass to other generations. Hello, my name is Charya Bird. I'm a master dancer, choreographer, and founder of Charya Bird Cambodian Dance, based in the San Francisco North Bay. Tonight, we gather here to commemorate the 50th anniversary of our resilience, our renewal in a new homeland, and our hope for all immigrants and refugee communities. The story of survival, strength, and resilience is in our blood. As a Khmer dance artist, I have been inspired by the artists who went before me. The story of my master teacher, my uncle, along with surviving artists who have to live in fear every day under the Khmer Rouge regime. They had to hide their identity because if they were found out, they would be punished with death. Their art form could only survive inside their memories. They were determined to live so that one day they would teach again, dance again, and pass down their knowledge to a new generation of dancers. Let us all take this moment Their story inspired me greatly. I am deeply grateful for having their art touch me, to be transmitted to me. I feel great obligation to do whatever I can to pass down this knowledge to new generations. Let us all take this moment to pray for our ancestors who continue to watch over us. Let us pray for those who lost their lives in genocide, for those who have suffered so from war and displacement. Let us pray for our collective humanity. May we all continue to heal, to find strength and hope to move forward. Let me share a little bit with you about the language of my ancestors. We use hand gesture combined with footwork and total position of the body with some facial expression to convey meanings. Let me demonstrate some of the important hand gestures. A tree, a leaf, a bird, a flower, a fruit, a ripe fruit, and it falls. And the new young tree begins to grow back once again. These hand gestures symbolize the life cycle in nature. In our dance, there are some symbolic movements and other realistic movements meant to evoke human emotions such as sadness, fear, and love. Let's learn together a couple of these movements. Okay. You form your hand two jeep. This is we call jeeps. Or bird. Move your arms across this way. This means love. Now let's try it together with me. Now form two jeep again and make into two leaves. And this is what we call slug. And you move this way to your left. This express kindness. Now let's do this together with just how you can feel how we move our fingers. Begin. And in dance, we use a prayer gesture. We call it a sampea. This way. Sampea symbolize the respect and the gratitude. And so let's begin it again. So we just chip again. We form a sampea this way. And then you move the palms forward to your forehead. And this means you are in prayer to the spirits, to Devada or God. And then you move back down to your chest here. It's to compare your parents, your friends, and all of you. Wow, thank you so much. You are now ready to perform with me. Thank you. I now would like to present one of my original dance piece called Rabam Forever My Ancestor. So tonight I am expressing my gratitude, my being, to thank this ancestor. This dance piece is for them. So the dance piece was choreographed in 2006 to premiere at the San Francisco Ethnic Dance Festival. And the piece is about the deep admiration I had for my dance ancestor who carefully preserved, safeguarded, and passed it down for many generations despite being nearly lost by genocide. With my palms together, I pray for my dance ancestor who carefully preserve these priceless traditions from generation to generation.
Wow, that was such a breathtaking and powerful performance. So, again, just another round of applause for Nekru. She truly reminded us of like the deep roots that we all come from, the beauty and the strength that continue to carry us forward. So, just truly honored today to witness such a sacred and meaningful performance. Thank you again, Nekru. I know she's backstage, but thank you for sharing this gift with us. Now, as we bring up the chairs and get ready for the next segment, I'd like to invite our esteemed panelists to the stage. First, we have Dr. Sandra Rooney, proud daughter of Khmer Rouge genocide survivor, first in her family to receive a formal education, a powerful advocate for justice and equity. Her work has advanced critical progress in education, healthcare access, state, national policy, including immigration, reproductive rights, climate justice. She co-founded the first Southeast Asian Student Coalition at UC Berkeley and has led transformative efforts to train and elect diverse women and non-binary leaders. Deeply rooted in the Cambodian refugee community, she brings both lived experience, academic excellence, holding advanced degrees from UC Berkeley, Harvard, and the University of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Dr. Sandra Rooney. Yes, take a seat. Next, we have Surachan Serch Chantiyasa, born in Vientiane, Laos, and came to the U.S. at age 7 after spending 14 years in a refugee camp in Thailand. He has over 2 decades of experience in community advocacy, including serving as the executive director of the Laotian American National Alliance and co-founding the San Francisco International Lao New Year Festival and Southeast Asian Arts and Culture Coalition. He created successful youth programs while working at the SF Recs and Parks, the Tenderloin Community Benefit District. Serch now serves as the community school coordinator at Rosa Parks Elementary School here in San Francisco. Welcome, Serch. All right, next I'd like to welcome Kuia Yang, daughter of Hmong refugees from Laos, grew up in North Sacramento and has served her community for over 2 decades through youth organizing, policy advocacy. She has led efforts at organizations like Youth Together, Bantiay Srai, CRAC, and Hmong Innovating Politics. As the first executive director of the California Commission on AAPI Affairs, she has helped secure major state funding for AAPI equity and student achievement programs. Today, she continues to support leaders and organizations with heart-driven work focused on justice, belonging, and community empowerment. Welcome, Kuia. All right, and welcoming Michelle to the stage. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Rata. Wow, are you having a lot of fun or what? Yes? Was that wonderful? Amazing, amazing. Thank you again for all of our esteemed panelists who are here tonight. And like I said in our opening, the stage is ours, and these are our stories to tell. So why don't we start with your connection to the Vietnam War and Cambodian genocide and the relationship to you and the experiences and what it means to you. So sorry, you're a guinea pig. You're right next to me. You go first.
I was also just going to invite you if you wanted to move your chair that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that way we can, it feels, it's better.
So everyone
yes?
else can kind of see you.
I know, thank you. Yes, get comfortable, everybody. This is like that's right. At home, we're sharing, it's family. We know this is what it is in our Southeast Asian community for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much to the Southeast Asia Development Center for having us. I just feel so honored to be a part of this event, and it's not just like a specific Cambodian, Hmong, Lao, Khmu, event. It's all of us, and so that's really beautiful. So thank you so much, Rata and Judy and the whole team. That's a really big question. When I saw that question, I was really thinking, like, everything. It means everything. So I'm Hmong American, and I think about, my parents' stories. They were teenagers when they came to the U.S. My dad was, before coming to the U.S., my dad was about 10 when he was recruited to the secret army, the CIA secret army in Laos, right? And I know that we say Vietnam War, we say Cambodian genocide, but there's also the war in Laos, and it looks in so many different ways depending on what region you are from in Laos and what community you came from. So I also love to hear your story as well. But you know, for my dad, he was recruited at the age of 10 to fight an American war. And that in itself says a lot, right? Because we know that we can't enlist into the Army or the military in the US until we're at least 18. So yeah, you know, I think that also means a lot of betrayal that has happened on the communities, our communities in Laos. And so, but you know, I don't want to say too much because I know we only have a few, it's short, but I just want to say that there's a lot of loss and all of that, but there's also so much love and hope. And I think about my parents being able to survive as teenagers without their parents being there for them and coming here and just, you know, making a life in the best ways that they knew how and the best ways that they could, because they had this will to fight, you know. And I feel like Professor said it so well. To fight for the future generations. So I think there's so much love, deep, deep love in that. And I'll just keep my comments short.
Yeah, no, I mean, who here, raise your hand if we think we need to do this every year. Yes, every year, yes, yes. So we can have these longer conversations, but before we move on to the rest of our panelists, though, I do want to recognize the fact that, right, those who did serve in that war, Hmong American veterans here, the United States does not do enough justice and recognition in their service and contribution, and almost we mention this as if these veterans had fought a quote unquote silent war. So I want to make sure that we do recognize your dad's contributions to all of this.
Thank you.
Right, and the Hmong community. And so, yeah, if you could just say a couple things, if you were here sitting up on this stage, what would he say today?
What would he say today? Wow. I think my dad would still feel a lot of betrayal because I think it's really our communities who really fought to get recognized. And so, you know, it's really interesting because, like, in order to win, it's always like you have to advocate versus it being just available for you. So there's that. But I would say on the flip side, he'd be really proud. Of not just the Hmong community, but the Southeast Asian community in general, in terms of the love and the will to fight for each other, and to be able to, you know, see where we're at today. I think my dad would say it was worth it.
Let's give a round of applause for Dad. Yeah, yeah, he deserves it. Sorry, John. Let's hear your story, your connection here to the Vietnam War, Cambodian genocide.
It's a big question, and it took me about 4 hours today to figure what I was going to say today. And I prepared a little something for each section of the three that we're going to discuss today. Sabai Khop Chai Lalai, Sikhoi Suchan Chantiyasak. Hello, thank you very much for this special occasion and opportunity for me to personal healing, to reflect, share my story, journey away from my home, Vientiane, the Kingdom of Laos, longing to return. Yet, blessed to be alive, healthy, and living in America. Thank you, God, for giving me life to be here tonight, to experience life's blessings, lessons, to see my family grow with both their parents, and I'm grateful every day for waking up every morning. I was 6 years old when we escaped across the Mekong River in the middle of the night to Thailand. We lived in a 10 by 10 foot bamboo hut for 14 months at the Nong Khai refugee camp, Isan region of northeast Thailand. 22 plus million Lao people of Thai citizenship reside since 1907, when the French, who colonized Indochina, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, used the Mekong River to create the geopolitical borders of Kingdom of Laos, 600 plus years monarchy, and Kingdom of Thailand. When I think about my journey and story, memories, moments, images, and flashes of happy things float around my mind. Only one sad moment, the time I was at the Mekong River. In the night of our escape, captured by a 6-year-old boy. No physical pain or mental suffering as a child, but just the heartache of separation from a grandmother. Who raised me while my dad was in Champasak, southern region of Laos, fought for the Royal Lao Army for 18 years, and my mom, for the famous master textile region of Samnua, worked in the stone factory. I was born in 1971 in the capital city of Vientiane. Our family of 6, my little sister was born in the refugee camp in Nong Khai. I was sponsored by the Sodus Point Methodist Church in upstate New York and arrived in the middle of winter, December 1979. Culture shock, blue toilet water, thinking it was a blue ocean below the plane. Scared to sit down, and the cold white snowflakes falling down on us as we exit the plane in Rochester, New York that winter. Growing up in America, my dad never talked about the final 4 years he spent away from home in Semana, hard labor re-education camp after the end of the American War, April 30th, 1975. The West calls the Vietnam War. Vietnam celebrates annual Victory Day, April 30th, but Laos celebrates December 2nd, 1975 as Victory Day. Nor did he ever talk about his 18 years in the military, except for his part as a Hmong language translator for the US CIA while fighting in the mountains of Laos. US CIA and Royal Lao Army were allies during this Indochina War, AKA American War, AKA Vietnam War in the West. Very little about himself, his family, or stories of home, except he would always encourage us to get a good education, taught us about working hard, and he was proud of all 4 children graduating from the universities with bachelor's and master's. Growing up in upstate New York, both my parents never attended school activities, sports games. We never ate outside the home. My mom and dad grew their own produce garden in the backyard, boiled the tap water for drinking every day, and dry our clothes outside the line tied between 2 trees after machine wash. So I share that with you just to sum up memories and thoughts of that question. And thank you for allowing me to heal and express my thoughts.
Let's show Jen some love. Yeah.
As I think about your story, I would say that for me, my mom had me in the refugee camp. So I have you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, be afraid, I have a mic. My mom had me in the refugee camp and I was only a baby. So I didn't have any memory of the experience, but my body feels it. Everybody feels it. My tie to this is it's not just my mom, it's my uncles, it's my cousins, it's my entire community. And I led a very much American life. You know, my parents did what they could, didn't come here and didn't speak English. I grew up in Stockton, California, the agricultural hub.
All-American city.
Huh?
It's an all-American city.
Yeah, all-American city, most diverse. I don't know if we still hold that. You know, it wasn't, and it took way too long. It wasn't until I arrived at UC Berkeley. It wasn't until I took Professor course where it started to connect. I was learning about somebody else's history my entire life. I was learning about somebody else's ancestors my entire life. And it was in Professor class where I learned that the geopolitical warfare created the reasons why my family sought refuge in the United States, the reason why my community experienced the things that they do. And it wasn't until it clicked for me in that class when she said, so now you know, what are you gonna do about it? Right? And I'm crying because I'm not that kid that was supposed to go to UC Berkeley. I was not that kid that was supposed to go on to Harvard and have these other things. I was a kid raised by farm workers. My parents toiled, picked the cherries that you probably have eaten, picked the onions that you probably have cooked with. They came to the Central Valley because they knew that that was a place they can rebuild. And they rebuilt and had hope so that their child can do something with it. And I'll turn to Professor Will always be grateful for her to ask me that question. Well, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Spent my entire life working to make sure that we have political power in democracy. It matters. It matters today in what we look for. And so that's my connection. I didn't have those memories. I led a pretty chilled life. But when that question was posed, I hope that I have answered the call.
Yeah, yeah. Those are equally important experiences that we don't talk about enough. And unfortunately, we're living in a political climate in which that American dream, like that is what we came here for. That is the fabric of what this country, right, has been founded upon, is under threat. We'll get to that. I mean, maybe. Or we'll end on a high note and then just go up to the rooftop and, talk about what we're going to do moving forward in the next 50 years and that political power. That sounds much more inspirational. But given that we have a limited amount of time, I do want to I'm going to skip over that second question that I asked of you in my email and get to the reconciliation part and the healing part. That sounds like a Band-Aid is being ripped off because you can still hear in the voices of our panelists here, no matter how many years have gone by, 50 years, it still hurts and it's still horrible and it's still traumatic and it's still so deep in us, even if we are the second generation and we are the hope and the dreams that, our parents are here for. Share with us as much as you can, what feels safe, that reconciliation part, what the healing part looks like to you, and that driving force in ensuring that there are others in your circle, in your community, your family, your uncles, your cousins, right? That they come out of this knowing we're in this together and we're gonna be better. And we live this thing called the Asian diaspora. That's us. That's our stories. That is a part of us. So go at you. I'm gonna come back to you. You're first.
Yeah, I would have to say my healing journey started really similar to Sandra's. I also am a Cal Bear, and I'm also a student of Professor and it's amazing that she has like multi-generational students here, like today. Yeah. And so I would also say that my healing journey really started in Professor Oom's class. If you've never taken a class with her, try to, because it's like storytelling every single day. And what you saw, that's what we experience every single lecture. But yeah, my healing journey really started there. I think that was when, similar, I was like, oh, so that's why we live in a low-income neighborhood. And, you know, really getting the language to understand where my parents' stories come from and why we ended up growing up in Del Paso Heights, one of the hoods in Sacramento. Why, you know, first semester at Cal is so freaking hard because we're not prepared to be these, you know, students. And then at the same time, there's all these students, your peers who are second year, third year, fourth year that are there to show you the ropes, you know? And I think somehow it's like built in us this love, community, the value for community and healing. I sensed that right away as a student. And, you know, I get to benefit from what Sandra and Professor Oom built prior to my time, you know, being able to be a part of a Southeast Asian Student Coalition and see, whoa, I have this super powerful voice and, you know, I can actually use it and do a lot of advocacy work. And so I think for me, I've really, I mean, since high school, and then it was like really emboldened as an undergrad, but I really was like, yeah, my calling in life is to serve the community. And it's to do it by utilizing my brains, my heart, and my voice to really do the advocacy for, you know, generations and generations that came before us, whether it's our own community, you know, Southeast Asian community, or whether it's advocating for the generation of the oppressed people in the US, right? That I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to do that. And that brought me a lot of healing. And I did that for so long in my life. To really be able to just fight for basic rights for our communities. And then I got really exhausted. So I had to really take that time to rest and find healing where I was able to really return home to myself. And I think with that, a lot of it was also like really rebuilding relationships with my family. Not that it was like broken, but like really knowing how to build a relationship with, for example, my mom, my siblings, for future generations in a way where they feel held and loved. And that, you know, earlier someone, I want to say maybe it was Professor Oom, but so many, even our master dancer talked about belonging. And it's really also about me leading a life where if I get to meet you, Michelle, I want you to know that you belong with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how I lead my life now, because that is what humans are also gifted to do, is to be able to love so deeply in a way where we know that we belong together in a community. And so I think to me, that's where I find a lot of healing, and then I also provide space for a lot of healing.
She's also doing something called political organizing. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our emails all together here. We're going to build a block, and we're going to move forward, all for human rights, right? We just did that in 30 seconds. Thank you, Goyi. Yes.
I just want to give a little context about what a refugee is without going into my personal story. After the U.S. evacuation from Southeast Asia in April 30, 1975, the United Nations High Commission Refugees granted refugee status to 3 French colonies, Indochina countries, the following in consecutive order: Vietnam first, Cambodia second, and Laos last. All the people of the Vietnam War granted refugee status by the United Nations were either Vietnamese, Cambodian, or Laotian refugees. Includes all 68 ethnic groups from the Kingdom of Laos, Lao, Khmer, Yu Min, Tai Lua, and Hmong. and others. In terms of the question about reconciliation, having tried to share the vision of unity in the U.S., being born in Laos and grown up here in America, there's this sense of burden or responsibility, like many of us have shared, to pass on the knowledge or pass on the traditions and cultures and language to the future generation. And through that decade or so of trying, I've come to this, not a conclusion, but because it's still in progress. But trying to unite Laotian Americans or Lao people from Laos to have one voice, one face, stronger collective impact has been challenging. Though the aspiration and supporting the vision of unity is welcome, priorities are focused on the needs of the family and local needs, and the value of the greater community or nationhood is not on top of mind, and it varies amongst the various ethnic groups, family associations, and local Theravada Buddhist temples. Just here in the Bay Area alone, there's a lot of multi-ethnic from Laos, a lot of Samaki, family associations, Samakom, community organizations, all doing great work, all doing what they can to preserve their sense of sanity, to keep their culture alive, their family, and being connected to the homeland, and to still something in their youth, and to promote culture. But as a national organization, sometimes it's important to bring people together to advocate for things that affect all of us, and that's where it's been challenging from my experience with LANA, Laotian American National Alliance, being on the CIRAC board, the Southeast Asian Action Research in Washington, D.C. And so trying to serve as the bridge between Laos and the U.S., between elders and children born here, the responsibility of preserving our language, culture, and traditions for future generations, what we value, what each ethnic group values, and what the elders and American-born values are not aligned. And the bond is weak from my observation. And so the love is not lacking, but I feel like we haven't found a way to connect and have a stronger community. And that's where I'm still hopeful about.
Very good points. Maybe that's why we were all, brought here to do that here on the 50th year commemoration. So, Sorry-chan, hold on to that dream. I think we can do it, doing it one day at a time. Sandra.
This was a very difficult one when you had asked, because I haven't thought about it, about healing and reconciliation. And two things came to my mind, and I'm going to if I don't do this right, I think it's from Professor Zoom's class too. I gotta
take this class.
You gotta take this class, I'm telling you. It's just right across. Two things came to my mind. One was that I feel like that I'm the embodiment, like the legacy of war. Like that's me, right? That's me. I don't know if I can ever reconcile that, right? Somebody else, right? Group of people, most likely men, decided they were gonna go at war, and for whatever reason, I'm living with that. I don't know how to reconcile that, right? And I think the other I felt was that I will probably always feel stateless. Like this wasn't made for me, wasn't designed for me. So I don't know if I can reconcile that. I think what I find solace in is that I'm here now in the present, and now that I know, right, I'm gonna do something with it, but personally, I'm just not sure that reconciliation will ever exist for someone like me who's in a system and a country that was not designed for me, who still bears the burden of other people deciding what rights I have today. So I can't reconcile right now.
Thank you for being vulnerable and honest. You're absolutely right, 1,000%. I wish we had more time for our panel, and like I said, I think we need to do this every year. We shouldn't wait another 50 years to talk these things through, because it matters, right? Like, you look at what's happening today, and I mentioned the political landscape. You know, my mom, I had mentioned Lao refugee, so just recently had asked me, I never thought, you know, I escaped a lot of that fear. A lot of this thing where they're just going to like force me to go somewhere else or out of my home, or right, or tell me that I don't belong, or that I'm illegal. You know, how could this happen? And she was asking me, and is this real? It almost was like kind of like a dream to her, and I could not answer her, and it broke my heart. I almost had to tell her, like, well, Mom, you know, because major thing for my mom, she's worried that they're going to, okay, Lao people here, speak Lao? Yes, 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 yes. Ao khao si tat nyan me. Right? They're gonna cut my benefits. They're gonna cut my security. They're gonna take all these things away. How am I supposed to live? I mean, thank goodness, right? She's got her kids, and we'll try to figure it out. But these are the things that my parents are worried about. And I know it's not just us in the Southeast Asian community. It's like 73 million Americans who are worried about this. So my last question to you is, we have a beautiful performance coming up, and I want to get to our performance, is really that we're back. Because I think for all of you, our parents are like, oh, it's never going to happen again. We escaped it. But we're witnessing, you know, genocide in other marginalized and vulnerable groups. We're witnessing other activities of violence against our communities. I mean, we got to look for the next 50 years. What are we looking for? What are we going to do? And obviously, we want to leave our audience here with hope, because there is that. Because look, we've never done this at the Commonwealth Club, and there's a bunch of you who are sitting out there listening to us. And I know you're tuning in and you're wanting to know too, how do we get together to be good to one another? Let's go, Gawi.
I think we keep fighting and we keep loving each other. I think we keep fighting, you know, every single one of us in this room plays such an important role in the community, in the ecosystem of advocacy. Like, you all matter, you know, wherever you are. And I say this because I'm gonna like kind of go back a little bit. I say this because when I became the first executive director of the API Commission of California, I really took that role seriously, because I was like, wow, I have access to like all these department leaders, and like I have the ears of legislators. And so I saw myself as like really at the front lines of doing the advocacy. And then I'll keep it real. Like, I also let capitalism get to me, where I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm like the first ED, you know? But one of the things that like I have grieved and mourned for a long time is the death of my dad. And when I would see elders, you know, Southeast Asian elders, I just would have so much love for them, because I'm like, dang, they matter so much in our community, you know? And it clicked to me like, oh my gosh, like everybody matters. It doesn't even matter what our titles are. And all of our stories matter, and everything that we do, if I just give a little love today, that has such a big impact, you know, because I don't know what maybe you might have gone through, or if I met your mom and I just gave her an extra smile, how that would change her day, you know, and how it would change someone's life, you know? So to me, it's like, yes, we keep doing the advocacy work. You know, one of the other things, like, I know you listed, like, mental health and just, you know, basic rights and education advocacy and all of that. There's also the deportation of our communities. You know, we have to also do a lot of advocacy there, you know, and that impacts not just the deportee or the potential deportee, but their families. So I also just want to raise that up because they've been here for 50 years and they're getting sent back. You know, just 2 days ago, there was a plane that landed in Laos and then went to Vietnam. So we have to keep like really pouring love into ourselves and each other and continuing to be in community with each other like this. And then I'm going to say something that's super off the wall, y'all, because 25-year-old Golia is going to be like, what the heck is she saying? We also have to really care about climate change, you know?
Yes.
Because we're not going to be able to survive as a civilization without our environment being taken care of by us. So there's the social aspects and there's also the environmental aspect, and we need to be able to like do both, but also take care of ourselves at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And love to your dad. I didn't even know. I mean, he passed.
Yeah, no,
I was
and
asking that question if you were here.
And
I probably caught you through.
No, and I love that you invited
Yeah.
him here.
I did.
That was amazing.
Yeah. That's why the panel flickered. I believe in these things. If you were here at Stonecrown, you heard the story that my mom's an alien, my dad's a ghost. Sorry, John.
Wow, 50 years. I'm sorry about your dad, by the way. My dad passed as well. Okay, 50 years. I hope and I wish for no more wars.
Yeah.
1 second, sorry. No more hunger. No more poverty. No more deaths. No more refugees. I pray for world peace. More peace ambassadors. More families to stay together. More children to have both their mom and dads nurturing, loving, teaching, supporting their growth. More gross happiness product, GHP. Earth provides enough for all of humanity with abundance of resources where food, shelter, education, healthcare is a basic human right and necessity with equal access regardless of socioeconomic status. We move together to get further instead of going alone just to move faster. Where the world is greater, where the whole, is greater than the sum of its parts. Where we value the journey, not the race. Where we pace ourselves instead of sprinting. When we truly understand there's no I in team. Life is a team sport, just like the world's beautiful game we know as soccer. I want to be a citizen of the world and Mother Earth, borderless, all-powerful, moving with love, peace, respect, and compassion. That's what I like to see in the next 50 years.
Can I live in your world now?
Right.
We don't have to wait another 50 years.
Sandra, take it home.
Oh my gosh. You know, in what I've learned about my own history, Professor, and what I've learned about other people's history is that history tends to repeat itself, right? And while I may want to have hope and I really want to live in your world, I feel like what gives me hope and what gives me hope that the next 50 years is that when I think of my parents that came to this country, didn't speak any English, nothing on their back. They raised this little kid who played on the farm a lot and now is able to do some things to contribute to the world. That gives me hope. gives me hope that we are in this together, right? We're learning our history. I am so deeply grateful. I get to share this history with my 10-year-old kiddo who's going to know where he comes from and who's going to be asked for the call, right? That's the hope, is that as much as we are strong, things are so fragile, right? And that if this little girl who was raised by parents who barely spoke English, who toiled the farms, can grow up to be someone, we have so much hope for the next 50 years.
All right. Let's give a last big, huge round of applause for our esteemed panelists, Guoyi, Sori-chan, and Sandra.
And to Michelle.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. Let's continue to build upon it. So I hope that during the reception you check in with each of them on how, right, we build a coalition. That's what we're looking for. We're past allyship. We're past, some of these key buzzwords. Let's make some action happen. And for the next 50 years, what we're going to see is peace. So thank you. We're going to ask you to kindly exit off the stage, left. And I'd love to welcome to all of you our last performance of the evening before we all go up and love one another during our reception. So let's welcome Kira to the stage. Kira is going to perform with a special zither for us, and so we're going to ask our volunteers to bring up this beautiful zither. Well, while we do that, maybe and then I'll share my stories. Yes? Yes? Oh. I mean, if you were here at Songkran, then I shared a little bit about my dad and my mom, and they're refugees. My dad is Vietnamese, my mother is Lao. So similar to Sori-chan, I think Sori-chan said Southern Laos. My mom, Champasak as well. And I got a chance to visit Champasak too. But it was always so bad. It was always such a hard life. We were always just so hungry because I had mentioned before, my dad died when we were so young. So my mom had to raise us as kids, 5 of us, 10 years and younger. It's so hard for her to talk about the past that I almost feel like half of my life, I don't know. I don't have the pages. But I'm happy we're here tonight because I almost feel like I'm not that one person that's weird. Thank you for being weird with me, and we're sharing these stories, and we're going to heal from it. Kira, I want you to come back up on the stage because I want you to tune your system, and while you do that, I'm going to read your bio. So everyone, let's welcome officially Kira to the stage. Kira is a high school junior who has been playing the Vietnamese zither, or I'm sorry for my Vietnamese friends, Dan Tran? Dan Tran? Oh. Mom, help me? Dan Tran. Since she was 6 years old, Kira has trained for 10 years under the instruction of Emmy Award-winning composer Van An Vo. Kira's love for music has also brought her to be a part of her high school marching band and symphonic band playing trombone. Kira had the incredible honor of performing with her Vietnamese zither in her mother's birthplace, Hue, Vietnam, in 2017 with the Music Bridge Ensemble and in Hanoi at the U.S. Embassy. She hopes the music she plays tonight brings you joy, peace, and love for the zither. Kira, you ready? Yep. Take it away.
part and just feel the music glide through your ears, your soul, and just enjoy.
Thank you so much, Kira. Big, huge round of applause for Kira for closing out the night. That was so beautiful. You're beautiful. Thank you. You know, we're going to head to your next big concert, and so you'll just all let us know. Mom will email us. We'll buy a ticket. Man, Lisa from Blackpink has nothing on you. I'm going to invite Rata back up to the stage here to give thanks and close us out before we release everybody to go eat. I know you're all eager. I am. Come on, Rata, come on.
All right. Well, that was a really amazing performance. Thank you so much for keeping our culture. Oh, let me just toss it here. Thank you so much for keeping our culture alive, for showing us that we are thriving. Thank you for sharing this gift with us. Thank you. Now, just want to thank you all. Your presence tonight means so much more. And not only to our organization, to the Commonwealth, but to those whose story deserve to be seen, heard, and remembered. Now, my heart is so full, it's been full, and it continues to stay full. This will be the first of many gatherings and community building together, and of reflection of our work, hope, and the heart of that our community carries. So thank you, Akun Chan. Thank you so much.
Akun Chan.
Kakun Ka. Khop Chai. Khop Chai Lai Lai.
Khop Chai Lai Lai. I was like, wait, what's allowed? And then, come on.
Now please head on to the roof where we have food and drinks for you to enjoy. So thank you so much. Yeah. And please, if you see our performers, our panelists, feel free to talk to them tonight. Yeah. Thank you.
Let me officially close out for our online audience. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks again for all of you who are joining us here. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. I do want to give recognition to those who gave tonight for especially the food and the reception, the Bamboo, Teho, and then what was it?
Also Larkin Restaurant.
Larkin Restaurant. On your way out, before you hit the roof, though, make sure you get a good look at our exhibitors and those who are tabling. The exhibit is curated by Dr. Pumi of the Center for Lao Studies.
Yes, the exhibit is ongoing, so are the vendors. Feel free to show them some love and support. Also want to shout out the Bamboo Organization for your donation of beers as well as food, so thank you so much.
Okay, last but not least, thanks the Commonwealth Club World Affairs of California for being there with us. I'm Michelle Miao. We'll see you next time. If you love what we do, become a member. Thank you.